Welcome back to another episode of the Pickle Pulse. I am your host, Brian Green, and today we have the GOAT. We have former world number one, US Open champion, Nationals champion, and now we have the number 6 overall pick in Australia's MLP Draft. What's up, Kyle Yates?
Hey, Brian, how you doing? I'm having so much fun, dude. I can't wait for Australia. So stoked.
I am so jelly because that is a spot in the world where I want to go spend some significant time for many reasons. But it sounds absolutely epic. And I also thoroughly enjoyed as the draft went on when they announced your name there. They said Kyle Yates, pickleball royalty. So we're gonna have to get you. We're gonna have to get you a crown to wear over there.
Oh man, I don't want to rub it in too much. I'm just excited for the opportunity.
Oh, dude, it's gonna be so cool. Well, after we last talked, I got out of you that you have a Pickler, like indoor facility that you're in on, and you are doing your PBA vacations. And I know you're always traveling here, there, and everywhere with those, but I don't remember asking you, like, what is a day in the life of Kyle Yates like at this point? Like, how many days of the week are you slaying the dragon? Are you training? Like, what's going on?
It's crazy. Just I was just kind of going through the motions for a while. A lot of it was, just prep work. So when I moved to Colorado and I got away from practicing and playing and training a bunch. So we were doing a lot more stuff with Pickler, going around trying to find locations. So meeting with landlords and going over, like, looking at different facilities, trying to find ones. And I've looked at so many different buildings, and with the pickleball facilities, it's a very specific building we're looking for. We're trying to take out old spaces, like old Bed Bath and Beyonds, Office Depots, old malls, and Best Buys. But it's amazing how specific these have to be just right. And I'm kind of I'm pretty meticulous. I want to be perfect. I'm kind of a perfectionist in this aspect. So, if the column spacing wasn't just right, the ceiling wasn't high enough, there's so many little things. If we couldn't fit enough courts a certain way, and then I help, with the layout and everything of the facility. So I'm excited. We found some good facility locations. So we're opening a couple more this year.
Okay.
We've got one in Thornton, which is kind of like northern Denver, opening up pretty soon. It'll be just in a couple months, and then Cheyenne, Wyoming. So hitting the big population centers.
I like it. I like it. Well, you need those indoor facilities because right now in Northern Virginia, we are experiencing the worst of heat waves. And normally in the summertime, we're headed outside to play for free at a local park. But when it's 105 degrees, it is. A matter of fact, I played yesterday, and it was brutal on this old man body.
It's just convenient too, knowing that at this time of this day, for sure you're going to be able to play pickleball. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, I plan practices and I get there and it's crazy windy, or maybe it starts to rain. You just never know. With indoor, I know I'm going to go get some good practice every time. So I'm excited about it.
Well, I know there's been talks in the pro world too about bringing more of the tournaments indoors. What would be your thoughts? I know some players really hate it, like Ben. Other players, I'm sure, would enjoy it, but I enjoy playing indoors because you don't have those elements to deal with, and you're working purely on how good you are.
I certainly prefer playing indoors. So I'm getting pretty spoiled nowadays because I play more indoors. Or in Florida, we didn't have really any indoor facility options near me. But I will say it's hard to find facilities large enough to host a large-scale tournament because you can only fit so many courts indoors. Mm-hmm. It's rare to have 40-something courts indoors, but I do work with the Indoor Pickleball Tour, the IPT. We've actually hosted a few tournaments already. We just had one in Vegas, actually, about a month ago. And we had that tournament in Atlantic City, New Jersey, where we had 40-plus courts indoors.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So we're looking to bring more. I think we're looking at Birmingham, Alabama, Knoxville, Tennessee, Vegas again. So we're looking around the country for convention centers to bring in, like those pickle roll type courts and put permanent outdoor surface courts indoors in these larger venues to host real size tournaments. So I think that'll be the play here pretty soon. These large scale convention center facilities hosting tournaments.
Yeah, well, I actually like it. I agree. I'm a little spoiled in that I play indoor about 50% of the time, and I would enjoy going to the tournament. Matter of fact, the last PPA in North Carolina, they had a tent set up around some of the outdoor ones, and it felt indoors, and that was a lot of fun to play at as well.
Nice. Yeah. Another exciting thing too is actually one of our tournaments we're looking at. We're looking at Vegas for next year, and we have
Ooh,
connections. We're hoping to do it MGM Grand.
let's
So I think
go.
someone's going to pull off some really cool big indoor tournaments here pretty soon.
Dude, I like it. I like it much. Well, back to the original question though. Now that you're back, and I got to imagine you're training to kick
Yeah.
some ass. So, what does that look like? Are you like two a days?
It was three. It was three today, actually. Believe it or not. But let's rewind a little bit too, because I just got back from Newport APP,
Okay.
uh, and I had a blast. So I actually hadn't played a tournament since April, since the US Open. So it's been a few months, and I had been practicing, leading up to it, drilling with some of the local players here in Denver, and we had a group go out there and compete. And man, it was just such a fun to get back out there. It's sometimes you get burnt out playing so many tournaments over and over and over again, and you take a little break and you get a refresh. And then I'm just like a kid in the candy store again, just enjoying just competing and playing hard. And I had some tough losses, but had some fun wins and just a lot of cool people, good vibes. So I definitely want to get back into the tournaments here pretty soon. Just there's just been a lot going on, but I think the dust is settling. So with Australia too, I'm really pumped to go out there and put on a good show. So definitely getting back into training. So this morning I had a drill sesh for a couple hours early. Then you take a little bit of break, another drill sesh for a couple hours, a little bit after that, and then topped it off with a little bit this evening. So kind of simulating tournament play, right? Where you got a match, then you sit, then you got a match, and you sit. It's really hard to adjust to that, and that's always really been my issue in the tournaments. Is it's just such long days. But
Mhm.
usually I go practice for a couple hours a day, that I'm done. Rarely do you practice for 5, 6, 7 hours in one day, tournament style. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to get back into that, just to get that body back into shape, because I'm not as young as I used to be. It takes me a little longer to recover, so I need my body to adjust.
Yep. I like it, man. I like it. Well, I got to say, as a huge fan, I'm excited to see you in Australia. It's going to cause me to tune in. I didn't get to see season one that much, but
That's the idea. That's
yep.
the idea. I want people tuning in. That's the whole point, is to get more eyes, because there's a lot of talent out there, and man, they put on a good show. They do a lot of good work. I was a big fan. I actually did watch season one. I had one of my good friends, Wesley Gabrielson,
Hmm.
from Oregon, competed last season, and so I would tune in and watch his matches. And great production, a lot of good players, and they just love pickleball. And so any way that I feel like I can help support them and help grow that, I'm in. And luckily I had some time available, and I got drafted. So here we go.
That's
I even
awesome.
have my purple on. So I'm wearing purple for two reasons. One, in celebration of Purple Jesus' gold medal this weekend. Congrats to
Yes.
Max Manthau, Purple Jesus. Awesome guy up from Seattle. Him and Eric Lang killed it this weekend.
That was the
Uh,
first time
there,
I got to see him play, and that was impressive.
my buddy Brian Asher's been telling me I need to play with this Purple Jesus guy for years, and now I see why. So congrats to those guys, but also my new Australian team, the Brisbane Breakers.
Let's go.
Our jersey be purple, and my high school color was purple. So I always
Okay.
had purple jerseys growing up, so it's kind of fun.
Nice, man. So when you initially threw your name in the mix to be drafted MLP Australia, what was the catalyst for that? What excited you about? I mean, number one, I know you love to travel. I don't know if you've been to Australia yet or not, but outside of that, what were you pumped about?
It seemed like a good idea at the time. Uh, no, I realized that I had a little bit of free time, and I've never been in that part of the world. And I reached out to, like I said, Wes Gabrielson, who played, and just asked about it. And he just had tons of really good things to say. He said a lot of good players. Everyone's really nice. They do a good job. They take it seriously, but it's the right kind of fun competition. And I thought, you know what, this could be an opportunity. One, to be able to just have the opportunity to travel over there, because there's two events in Australia. One's in Vietnam, but
I
there's
saw
so
that.
many countries around there. You got Thailand and Indonesia, and the Philippines and China and Japan, obviously, and all those countries. The pickleball is growing. So one, I just love checking in on pickleball around the world. I love checking in on pickleball down in Peru and over in Europe, and I've just never been over there. So I wanted to go just see what it was like. And also, I mean, not selfishly or not in an ego way, but I do feel like I could bring a lot of value to the league, and the fact that now they can advertise that, hey, they've got, a United States champion, a former world #1 player here. I do think it'd be really good for the sport over there. Obviously there's business opportunities as well. I'm not going to lie, but I genuinely want to go and just see how pickleball is going out there and just see if I can help in any way, because it's just really exciting for me to see that happen.
No, that's amazing. And well, this was one of my other questions that I prepped, and that as I watched the draft through the first round, all the dupers were 5'5", 5'8", and then yours pops up and it's 6'5", and I'm going, I wonder if Kyle's licking his chops for this right now.
I would, but in all seriousness, it's probably, it's not a career killer, but my DUPR's definitely gonna probably plummet. I would say all those players out there are probably rated a half a point lower than they realistically are.
Okay.
So those guys out there who are like a 5'3", realistically are closer to a 6. And even some of the women who are maybe be like a 4.8 or something are 5'5". So I mean, there's some good players, and I know that because a few of them have come over to the States. So Peishuan Cao is one of the team captains. She came over at the US Open this year, and she played great. I really loved watching her play. You got Mitch Hargraves, who's the captain of Sydney Smash, has done really well in PPAs over here, and also Arman Bhatia and Harsh Mehta from India. A lot of people don't know these names, but these two guys came from India, and they got, I want to say they got 5th place in men's pro doubles US Open this year. Yeah. I didn't get to play against them, but they had really good results. So Arman Bhatia, Harsh Mehta, good players. And so I'm just excited to see how good they are. I haven't played against any of them, but yeah, I mean, their DUPRs are low, but you can't really underestimate any of them. There's some good players out there. So I'm really interested to see how their games stack up with mine here.
No, I believe it. And I think it really speaks to DUPR isn't a great rating system. I think it's the closest that we have to a good one. Can't call it, perfect yet. But if you don't have the ability to play guys that are 6'0", 6'5", and you're a 5'5", it's really hard for your DUPR to go up. And exactly. So I think that's what you're speaking over there.
To. They play amongst themselves over there, and their DUPRs stay at a certain level. Then one comes over to the States, does well, their DUPR goes up. Then they go back overseas and play, and then it slowly goes up. So, hey, maybe I'm going to bring some of their DUPRs up. Who knows? Either mine's going to go down or theirs is going to go up. One of the two.
Do me a favor and let's keep yours right where it's at and kick some ass.
That's the plan. Yeah. I got a team counting on me.
So you're going to Australia, the land of creepy crawly things, slithery things that can kill you everywhere. And
everything can kill you.
Dude, Australia, that's one of the things that really terrifies me about that area. But I wanted to ask you a couple of fun, simple questions. And that is, which is scarier to Kyle Yates, spiders or snakes?
Ooh, I'll be honest. I actually loved snakes growing up. The venomous ones I don't really go anywhere near, but I don't mind snakes. I'm not a big fan of spiders. I'm really not a big fan of spiders, but
you and me both.
We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
Yes. I feel
I'm sure I'll run into something.
I feel like I could lay in a pit of snakes and be okay, but if it were a pit of non-venomous spiders, I would be completely freaked out and feel like there was one on me for days at that point. I couldn't do the spiders.
Yeah, you'd probably be okay, but my pants would be wet for sure.
All right, second question: sharks or crocodiles? Which is more scary?
It's Crocs for sure.
Oh my god,
that one's hands down. And I don't know if you saw, I posted on my story. I was in Costa Rica a few months ago surfing, and there was like a 7-foot croc in the lineup with us.
No,
someone noticed it. Yeah, there was a bunch of debris. A lot of logs and stuff near there, so no one really paying attention. But someone spotted it and yelled out, and everyone got out of the water. And I ended up getting a picture of it, and it was a 7-foot guy, bunch of sharp teeth, just sitting right out in the lineup with us.
What, at Little Hawaii, right out front?
Little Hawaii, right out front of the beach club. Yeah, it couldn't have been more than 20 yards away from everyone where we were at.
Oh, that is terrifying because yes.
Sharks really don't bother me much. They're kind of just doing their own thing. They're really not very aggressive, believe it or not. In fact, I can't wait. One of my plans when I'm out in Australia, I really want to go diving,
Okay.
scuba certified, and I want to go diving. And there's some really cool reefs, and I want to go diving with like some of those like whale sharks and stuff. So they
Mm-hmm.
have some of those excursions, so that'll be fun. But
Oh, dude.
Crocs, no way, man, no way.
But be safe on that Great Barrier Reef. You could be swimming with all the beautiful fish and then a great white swim up that's 20 feet long too. So it's no
Good,
joke.
you could. I'll bring my GoPro.
Oh, please do. Please do. Hopefully it'll come back in all in one piece. So you also mentioned you guys are playing in three different spots. You've got, I think, Sydney or Melbourne, and then the Gold Coast, and then Vietnam. Is one of those spots a little more exciting than the others for you?
You know, I don't really know what to expect a ton. I'm a big geography nerd, and so I love traveling and see different places, different cultures. So the first trip is just Brisbane, which is Gold Coast.
Okay.
Beautiful beaches. I want to go diving. I want to try to
Some of the
surf.
best waves around there.
That typical just like Australian surfer vibe. That's gonna be super fun. The second event in Vietnam, I'm excited. I've got a little tour I'm doing. I'm actually going to Bali, Indonesia, and
Mm-hmm.
then Bangkok, Thailand, and then Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. So, and that's a totally different culture. This it's very, it's gonna be different. It's gonna be different, but we'll see.
All
But
right.
I'm excited. I mean, it's gonna be good food, that's for sure.
Well,
And then the
on
last
your
event's in Melbourne.
you're getting ahead of me, but on your reels, I know in Vietnam they eat spiders. So I expect to see Kyle Yates eating a spider in Vietnam.
Nope,
Come on now.
nope. I'll stick with the pho.
Go
Yeah.
on.
Unless they put like a fried spider in my phone, don't tell me.
Then it'll just crunch up like what is that?
Oh,
Soft shell crab. It looks like a
oh
spider
yeah.
pretty much.
Oh no, no, no. I would have never signed up for Fear Factor.
Mm-mm. No, no. Oh, the other thing that I wanted to ask you is so you're one of the few guys that has an actual shot named after you, the Kyle Yates. And Tyler Slagle, I don't know if you remember him from our PV vacation together, the young guy that I brought, but he has mastered that shot
Oh
now.
no.
And oh, that's what I say. Oh no, because he's a lefty, and which means he's normally in front of me when I'm not when he's not playing on my team, and he is wearing the line out on me. It's such a good shot. Are you working on any new like fun flicks or tricks, or you're always known for doing cool stuff?
I am. I am. I don't know if I want to give it away,
No, please
but
don't.
I definitely am adding. I'm adding a few new shots to my repertoire. Things that I haven't really ever done. So I'm excited. I had some time after US Open. I had 3 months where I'm just kind of laying low here in Colorado, practicing, working on things, and I got about another month. Yeah, about another month before I go to Australia. So I'll probably bust them out on tour over in Australia, but definitely my game is looking very different than it did a year ago.
Okay.
Just put it that way.
Yeah. No, and I
Nothing
believe it.
necessarily super fancy, um, but definitely got some new shots to my game. I'm excited to pull out. They're looking good.
That's nice. That's nice. And you're playing your Valère Mach 2 Forza or whatever it is.
The Valère Forza, the Mach 1 Forza, the pink Kyle Yates signature edition.
Okay.
Yeah, stay tuned on that though.
Okay. I'm looking forward to it. Paddles are where I stay happy.
You got
I
it.
have way too many of them at this point. Okay, so back to MLP. As I was watching the draft again, I noticed in the first round that there were a ton of ladies taken, more so than men. I think there were 9 ladies and 3 men, maybe 8 and 4. It's an interesting draft strategy. Why do you think that was? Was that just the players there in Australia, or do you think that that's the way things are going just in MLP in general, is getting solid ladies and then building guys around it? And do you see any flaws in that strategy?
I think it's yeah. Let's break that down. Let's break that down. So the draft is first of all, it's a lot of fun, super stressful. You can have a plan going into it. It could just fall apart in the first 5 picks. But it's a lot of it is knowing your base, like your team base, right? So the way the Australian format worked was every team already had a player. the team captain's already on the team. So the team captains were left over from the teams in season 1. So every team retained one player.
Okay.
Where it's different here in the States, they start fresh every season. So just that you take into account. So imagine you're a team and you've got an Australian guy as a captain, right? Well, you already have a guy picked. So you do really want to try to get the best females as you can early on. So I think the teams that drafted guys early on, except for maybe one team, were teams with a female captain that already had one female already on the team.
Okay.
So you got to go for that balance, right? Because the teams are really only as strong as your weakest link usually, unless you've got a Ben Johns type player that can take over and guarantee you 2 wins every time. But also with the Australian League, they only allow 1 international pick per team. So you have to pick some local players. And I don't know what the depth is like over there. I don't know if they have 24 strong, even women. I feel like there maybe are a handful that are maybe those top tier ladies. And then you have kind of like a group in the middle of like a bunch of other ones. But again, I don't really know all the players. Those captains know better than I do.
Okay.
But I knew there was a lot of hype around a few of the ladies. There was a Danielle Townsend who went number 1 overall.
Mm-hmm.
Rose Van Reek went number 2, I think. And there were a few other really strong women that also went early on. And I think those teams were nervous that if they passed up on those top tier local women, then they wouldn't have that pick later on. They'd have to, go down to like a lower tier. So I think grabbing those value picks early on is really important in MLP.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought that was strong. And there were a couple teams that I really liked that had a top tier elite Australian or Asia Pacific female paired up with one of the top international female picks. So you got 2 quality women. And if you got 2 strong women in Major League Pickleball, you got a good shot at winning the women's point. And you have 2 solid mixed teams because you have 2 solid women.
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking good already. So those teams, the teams that took the guys early on. So, I went first round. The Asia Aces selected this guy, Fook Hyun, 3rd overall pick. And Joey Wild was one Australian that went first round. Some of these guys that went first round, they're going to have, some good guys on the team, but it's a team effort. One guy's not going to win the whole match for you. So it's a balance thing. So I think those value picks, knowing that, hey, we need to get one of these girls now because they might not be available later, is big.
Okay.
So I wasn't surprised. I know a lot of people were like, oh, you're probably going to go number 1. I'm glad I went first round. I was pleased to go first round, but I wasn't expecting it because I know how valuable those local women are going to be in this format.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm hoping that I can help while I'm there because I'm going a little bit early. I'm hoping I can develop our 2 females, practice with them for a few weeks, and get them up to speed, and we'll see what happens. So, it's gonna be fun either way. But no, I was not surprised that some women went early on. And they're very talented. I'm excited to play against them.
Well, it makes sense in that, if the pool is small, you definitely want to grab up those top. Especially looking at this season's US MLP and Ben Johns going number 1 overall, and then everyone else out of the 4th. It seems that their strategy has backfired on them a bit, especially after watching him and his team in DC. The body language was awful. He seemed like it was the last place in the world he wanted to be, and they really struggled. He did what he was supposed to do in 1-2, but they went to a dream breaker almost every time,
which is going to be important. I think dream breakers are going to be big too. It's really nice having 4 quality singles players because you have that dream breaker as a fallback.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to win 3 of the 4 games. If you could just steal 2, you got a shot at winning. So, but again, I think that the depth here in the States is a lot deeper. So you could get a guy late and he's still going to be quality and just as close, just as good as some of those earlier guys. And even the women, some of those women that went in 4th round, they're still just as good as the 2nd round female. So I didn't think it was as important, but I think in Major League Pickleball Australia, or maybe someplace out there where pickleball is still newer, where there isn't the depth, those value picks are going to be pretty important. But we'll see how it plays out. That first event's always interesting. You really never know quite what to expect. But the Brisbane Breakers, I think we're going to bring it.
Dude, I can't wait. I'm so looking forward to it. Well, So you had mentioned a couple of guys out of India that are super high level. A matter of fact, the harsh guy I saw was already over a 6.3. Um, what do you know about pickleball India and those guys' games? I guess where I'm going is internationally, are they playing the game very similar to how we are in the US, or meaning like banging and crashing and then converting back to a traditional drop and dink kind of pickleball? Um, I'm just intrigued by India in general because there are millions of people in that tiny country. And if they get into it, this could be huge.
They are. It's from what I've heard, it's blowing up over there in a really good way. So obviously, we've had some players go over there fairly recently. Andre Dascu and Rob Nunnery and some of those guys. I went over and played with them, and they said, "Hey, don't take them lightly. They play smart. They know what they're doing. They're talented." And I think they watch a lot of the film from the States. I think they watch a lot of the PPA tournaments. Some of them actually have come over and played some of the tournaments. Like I said, those two guys, Armand and Harsh, were both of the US Open. So they're not rookies. They're not amateurs. I mean, they're very high level professional players. They play the right way. So I'm just going to treat it like a regular MLP event. The only thing that I have going for me is they haven't played against me yet either.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not easy to play against for the first time. So I'm not going to take them lightly. I'm sure they've got a lot of tricks. I'm sure they got good hands. I'm sure they play smart. But we'll see. But I think it's just good for the sport in general.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going over there. Obviously, I definitely want to win. I'm competitive as anybody else. I'm going to go give everything I got. It'd be fun to win, but that's not necessarily the goal of the trip. Um, but that would definitely be a bonus, and that's the plan. I mean, I'm training to win, but
Mm-hmm.
also the grand scheme of things, it's just good for the sport of pickleball. So we'll see what happens.
Well, I am excited when you guys go to Vietnam because the Asian fans are known to be over the top. Where was it?
I'm excited. They love their pickleball. I'll tell you right now, they love their pickleball. I've already got messages of people excited that I'm coming out there to play, and there's some good players. I know Quang Duong went out there and has done some clinics and exhibitions and stuff out there in Vietnam, and there's some good players. I actually just lost to a player this past weekend, Quan Do, who's from Vietnam. Really good player. I lost to him in singles in a really good match, first round in Newport. And so they got talent. They love their racket sports. I'm gonna be playing against a bunch of probably pro badminton and table tennis players.
Okay.
So I mean they've got the talent. I think there's a lot of potential over there in that Southeast Asia with pickleball. I think they're gonna really take to it.
Well, I appreciate you growing this great sport worldwide, man, and I'm really excited to watch MLP Australia to see
Good.
what you can bring to the table. I guess finally, I wanted to ask just a little bit about pro pickleball in general because this past week we had a huge mix-up at the top, and we now have a new world number one player in Dylan Frazier and a new number one team in JW and Dylan. Like, how exciting is that for you to see kind of a mix up at the top? And then what do you think about Ben and Colin? Have they been figured out? Have they been caught up to?
I just think it's hard to stay on top of a sport like this for so long. And you always have the target on your back, and people are just training, just coming after you constantly. And it's really frustrating because obviously Ben and Colin are friends of mine, but they're a long time. It's frustrating for me seeing on social media that as soon as they lose, immediately people are like, "Oh, are they done? Has Ben been figured out? Is he not the best?" Look, all credit to Dylan Frazier and JW Johnson. I would say they're the best team right now, the way that they're playing and their team chemistry. And Dylan, I'm not going to knock him as the number one player in the world because the results are ultimately what prove it. But it's just really hard to count out the fact that how dominant Ben has been and honestly still is. But how grueling is it just play tournament after tournament after tournament over and over and over and again and always winning? Of course, there's going to be some lapses. I think maybe those guys should just take like a little bit of break for a mental refresh. But there's not a whole lot of an off season. I think that would do them a lot of good. But I mean, yeah, congrats to Dylan and J-Dub. Gosh, they just keep getting better and better and better and not really big tennis players. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
what a credit to the sport of pickleball. They have someone, Dylan Frazier, who's been playing pickleball since he was 13, not an ex pro tennis player becoming world number one, but a true original pickleball player as a kid growing up, becoming number one. I mean, I think that's just really good for the sport in general. And he's such a good kid, so humble. So I don't know what other team I'd be more happy to see as a number one, but between those two kids, because their parents have done a really good job with them.
Yeah, no, I am super pumped for Dylan because I saw something on social media recently. I don't know who posted, I can't remember, but it was like Dylan Frazier at 13 or 14 in a 3-5 tournament with his gold medal. And it's like, this is the world number one right now. And exactly what you said. It's so cool that he earned all his stripes and moved up. He's like
Mm-hmm.
Brian Green, who started at 3-0 tournaments, and now I'm moving up. But yeah, I'm too old.
There's
I'm
hope for
capping
you
out.
still, then, huh?
Yeah, I mean, there's hope for me, maybe in the senior pro world, but then I'll have to deal with you at that point. It'll be no good.
It's
So
coming soon.
outside of that, we've got Anna Leigh, who's been dominating.
She just dominates. There's no one even close right now, it seems like.
But there are a batch of ladies out there who seem to be on the come up. A lot of young 20-year-old ex tennis players, players that I really like that haven't made the breakthrough yet, like Tyra Black, who's had some good results out there, but she's really good. Um, how long before the rest of the girls catch up to Anna Leigh?
Well, honestly, the biggest difference is just mentally. I wouldn't say there's a huge gap there. I mean, truly, she's so dominant, but at the same time, skill wise and athleticism, there's not a big gap there. Those women are right there. But what separates those top players is just that ability to find a way to win. And Annalie just has it. She is so adaptable when she's playing. I mean, she can figure out patterns and just can grind out and figure out ways to beat people. And I don't think anyone's really figured out how to beat her. It's not that they're not capable. Skill wise, they're definitely capable of doing it. But it's just a mentality thing. I think Annalie just has it in her brain that she just knows she's the best and knows she's going to win, has complete confidence. And I don't think any other female, whether they if they say that they're confident, I think they're lying. I think these women go into these matches before, I think they're already beat before the match even starts. I think they go into it already knowing they're going to lose, and that's their downfall. And I think that's why Ben and Colin have been losing more lately, because that dam started to crack, and now there's a leak, and
Uh-huh.
players are getting a lot more confident going against them. Same thing in singles against Ben. Some guys are starting to beat him in singles because there's a leak in that dam, and when it breaks, it starts pouring water, and more people jump in there. And we haven't seen that from Annalie really yet. No one's really tested her quite enough yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know who it's gonna be. But like you said, there's a lot of talented girls that are right there, and it just takes one or two to steal a win. Someone else sees it happen, then they get the confidence, so they figure out a pattern and they figure out how to do it. So we'll see. But I mean, again, credit to Annalie Waters. That's just 17 years old. Just you know, her composure in big moments and just her grit, especially when she's down, to just always find a way to come back and win. I mean, that's just special. So it's going to take a lot for someone to figure that out, but someone will eventually. And again, it'll, like I said, that when that dam cracks, it's going to start leaking fast.
Yeah. Well, her mental fortitude is there, and you're right. She is a
Yeah,
gamer. After watching her in the last PPA down to JW in Georgia with Ben on her side, and I think it was 10
exactly.
3, and she took over the court with Ben standing next to her, and
She
unbelievable.
and Ben, she and Ben both have that skill, and I call it a skill because it's something you can get better at. It's something you can improve. They have that skill where when it gets tight and they have to play their best, they figure out a way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
They're down. They know they cannot make any mistakes. They don't make any mistakes, and that's amazing. And they just find a way to come back. But some team is gonna, someone's gonna figure it out. It could take a while, but someone will eventually.
I like it, man. I like it. Well, last question for you, and that is, when you first started playing pickleball, did you ever foresee or dream that the game would be to where it is now? I think in the last PPA, or maybe it was the APP. No, it was the PPA. There were 100 guys trying to qualify for pro singles, and
Oof.
and I mean, these guys are all legit players coming in and would have been pros 5 years ago, no problem. I mean, how impressive is that? And how do you see the game growing in the next 2 to 5 years?
This past weekend, APP Newport had over 1,700 registered players. As a third, I think it was the third largest tournament really in pickleball behind US Open and the Nationals.
Mm-hmm.
I remember back playing, and 300 was a lot of players for one tournament. But seeing 100 plus players in the qualifiers or having tournaments with pre-qualifiers to the qualifiers, it's crazy. And it's not going to slow down. And if anything, that's kind of why I want to go to Asia, because it's so new now where there's a couple pro tours that are kind of starting up. And I want to just go see how pickleball is growing over there, because it's starting to grow in Europe slowly. Central and South America, it's growing slowly. I think Asia is just going to just spike fast. And so I think there's going to be a lot more international events, a lot more international players. I think you're going to see a lot more of those Asia Pacific players coming over competing in the United States, a lot more Indian, a lot more, Chinese, Southeast Asian players coming over, like the Guangdongs and players like that. Some really good females are coming over, like Jia Yuwang, and Shay. Some of these Chinese girls that phenomenal. I think we're going to see a lot more of that. But also the kids like Dylan Frazier, these kids that are 12, 13 years old right now, just playing every day with their parents, just grinding, watching these pros on TV, saying that they want to be a professional pickleball player when they grow up. That was me, but it wasn't realistic. Now it's a realistic opportunity for these kids. So it's amazing. Who knows? I think the sky's the limit, but we're probably gonna land on the moon.
I love
Man,
it.
let's get a pickleball court on the moon, huh? I'll
like
run a playcation up to the moon someday.
Well, that's a good segue. There we go. So how can we find you, Kyle? I know that you've got your picklers out in Colorado. You've got your PB. It's PB vacations?
PB playcations.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yep. And then we can watch you on MLP.
Biggest thing is Instagram, KyleYates.pb. Any notable thing will probably be posted on there. That's the easiest way to reach me for inquiries, if you want clinics or anything like that. But that's where I'll be posting most of my content. And with all MLP Australia coming up, any vacation trips, things like that, that's where I'll be posting it. So Instagram's kind of the big one right now.
Okay.
I'm excited. Yeah. Let's go. Let's go Australia. I've been watching some Steve Irwin episodes, some old videos to try to
love it. Dude, that guy was a legend. I can't believe a stingray got him in the end. Yeah, it's just very, very not cool.
Unreal. But I was a big Steve Irwin and Crocodile Dundee fan when I was a kid, so I'm excited to get over there.
I love it. You're aging yourself. You're showing your age, Kyle. Crocodile Dundee. Good 90s movie.
That's not a knife.
That's right. This is a knife.
There you go.
Hey, my dude, I really appreciate you. Appreciate the time. And we're all rooting for you. Can't wait to see what the future brings. And yeah, man, we'll talk to you soon.
I'm pumped. Thanks so much, Brian.
All right. You're a legend. Peace.